Welcome to Across the Balkans. I'm Nafisa Latic. Great to have your company. International observers say Serbian elections were marred by irregularities and will demand a full investigation into alleged ballot box stuffing and vote buying. The accusations by the monitors, including the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, came after President Aleksandar Vucic declared a sweeping victory for his Serbian Progressive Party. Meanwhile, thousands of people came out to protest the results in local elections in Belgrade, and two opposition leaders have started a hunger strike that they say will last until those results are annulled. Aida Corovic reports.
From chants of Vucic thief to breaching a security fence outside Serbia's Electoral Commission's building, hundreds of supporters for the Serbia Against Violence coalition descended on the streets after results showed President Aleksandar Vucic's Serbian Progressive Party, or SNS, won Sunday's parliamentary and local elections. Many Belgrade residents say their future has been stolen.
We have been robbed. We want something to be done about all the problems we have in our country.
The opposition organised the protests and called for the Belgrade vote to be annulled, claiming it was rigged. And two of its members have embarked on a hunger strike in an attempt to force the Election Commission to repeat the vote. A team of international observers also said there was a string of irregularities.
Overcrowding, group voting, and insufficient measures to ensure voter secrecy. Additionally, instances of serious irregularities such as vote buying and ballot box stuffing were observed.
Germany called the reported irregularities unacceptable for a country hoping to join the European Union. However, the ruling party's supporters say they expected Vucic's party to win by a landslide.
The result is just as we expected, namely that the elections will be won by the party that looks after Serbia and its development.
Preliminary results show Vucic's party won nearly 47% of the votes in the parliamentary election, followed by Serbia Against Violence with 23%.
We promised the people that Serbia would be a different country, that they wouldn't be able to recognize it in 3 years' time. We still have to do a lot of things, very important things.
But the real ground of contention was expected in the capital, where the mayoral race was tight. While Vucic was not on the ballot for Sunday's parliamentary and local elections, the outcome of the elections is being viewed as a referendum on a party that's been in power since 2012. The country grapples with rising inflation and protests sparked by two mass shootings in May, in which 18 people were killed. Vucic called snap elections to secure a stronger mandate, but it appears he and his party are not out of the woods just yet. They will have to defend the cloud of serious accusations hanging over their heads to have some semblance of credibility in the years ahead. Accusations which he strongly denies. Aida Corovic, Across the Balkans.
A lot to unpack following the vote in Belgrade. So I'm joined now by Dusan Janjic. He is the president of the executive board at the Forum for Ethnic Relations. Mr. Janjic, great to have you with us. The opposition says the elections were not fair. The ruling party disagrees. A lot has happened. What is your assessment of the current, let's say, post-election crisis in Serbia?
Not only opposition, also international monitors coming from OSCE, Council of European Parliament. They said exactly that elections were not regular, was not fair, and that basically the victory of opposition was stolen in the Belgrade. That's something what I think is relevant. Generally, the elections in Serbia last 10 years is not according so-called high standards of democracy. But this one, the last one, are something extraordinary. And for that, they're so important. Basically, that manipulation with elections is exactly saying that the government is in a trouble, political trouble, and Serbia is close to the serious, deep political and security crisis.
Mr. Janic, I'll come to the parliamentary elections later. I want to focus on Belgrade at the moment, the local elections there. As we can see, that's where this story is about, and this can be detrimental for what will happen in Serbia in the following weeks. Now, opposition says they will not give up. They suspect people were brought from Bosnia's entity, Republika Srpska, to help the ruling party win the Belgrade that many expected will be the most challenging for the ruling party. Do you think their complaints will be heard by the Electoral Commission?
Their complaint, according, their data they have. But from the morning today, they were spreading their protest, and they are not to recognize also other elections in some other towns like Kraljevo and others, because they found a lot of facts. If the local elections in Belgrade are not regular, could not be regular, also the Republican elections in the town. The Belgrade is the 25% of the voters in Serbia. Anyway, for this very moment today, it's hard to say how that will develop. Anyway, we could say the elections were not regular, government still is not responding, internationalization of the crisis in Serbia is starting, especially in the Europe. For the moment, everybody is waiting the voice from State Department.
Right. We've heard from some of the EU officials who say they are not happy with the way the elections were conducted by Serbia's authorities. Let's see and wait for more reaction. Meanwhile, what will happen on the streets of Belgrade? We've seen two opposition leaders starting the hunger strike. They seem very determined not to give up.
Basically, in Belgrade, everything was always transparent on the first day. We have a specific way of double citizenship. Some people who found themselves as the Serbs, they could get to provide the citizenship. Citizenship, not only to you to vote on the local elections if you're not living in that town. And it was so evident that the numbers, I'm not sure about the numbers, but thousands of people come from towns out of Belgrade, especially from Republika Srpska, Bosnia, Montenegro, and neighboring towns, and they were voting in Belgrade. For that, the local elections, without any doubt, in Belgrade and Kraljevo could not be recognized. And that's why, and also why, opposition expecting to win, and was basically, according to the information of their people on the polls, voting points, they won. And that's the motivation for, extra motivation to protest. You know, if a city, basically in the Belgrade will be changed the power, that will be the really serious sign for other countries and for next elections, that also the the Republican winners could be replaced from the place of Vucic. And the end, the story is with the Vucic, because the President Vucic was taking the direct, activities during the pre-electoral campaign. He was leading the list. Unfortunately, that is contrary to our constitution, is not in accordance with constitution and the law. And because the president broken the law and constitutions, I think oppositions, especially pro-European oppositions, found the motivation to try to do something over the repetition of the elections in Belgrade, meaning to replace Vucic or to destabilize his position.
Right. Do you think the opposition is strong enough at the moment to unite and fight in a legal way over their claims?
They will do that. And now, in the next day, they will make the deal with the other opposition groups. They could do that on the legal way. But, you know, institutions are not working in Serbia. Something what is, for my worried, is basically dissatisfactions of the people with the economy, with the high price of the food, the high prices of the energy, and basically the opposition itself. It could just, how to say, to arise the support, the solidarity of the part of the society. But what will be the next, nobody knows.
Right.
Just if you are looking the last protest, there were the young people, students, who maybe were motivated by, they are not organized and they are not under the control of the opposition. And that's the problem, because these social dissatisfactions could be transformed into political and security crisis in Belgrade and Serbia.
I want to talk now about the regional reaction. Lots of reaction from Bosnia and Montenegro, specifically following the visuals of Bosnian Serb leader Milorad Dodik, Bosnian Minister of Security as well, Montenegrin Speaker of Parliament Andrija Mandić, together celebrating with Aleksandar Vucic in the wake of all these reports about people coming in to vote for the ruling party from other countries, people with dual citizenship. Mr. Janic, what kind of message was sent to the rest of the region with these pictures coming from Belgrade on the night of the results?
I think that is a bad sign for Vucic. If you have the partners like Dodik and Mandić, who are in, how to say, in the crazy influencer rating in their proper society and international community, especially European Union and America and UK, you are in a trouble. If they're helping you, you could take only God help me. That's the first. Secondly, the way how they organize, especially the way in which Dodik and Minister of Internal from Republika Srpska organized, that was so stupid, so provocative, so transparent, how they organized basically the broken the laws in Serbia. And I think it's not a help to Vucic. And now Vucic has to think, if he wants to stay on the power, what he will do with this kind of the supporter, like Mandić and Dodik. That's one. The second, you know that those people are promoting the idea of unification of all Serbian countries, so-called Serbian world. I could say that during the electoral day, that idea completely collapsed. And now, exactly according to the dissatisfactions of the people living in Serbia and citizens of Serbia, I could say people will never support this kind of idea. That is the good news. That is not bad news for my point of view. The early parliamentarian elections are the result, first of all, of irregularity of previous elections. The second, the really hard work of oppositions, not only pro-European, against this kind of destabilization of institutions. In the end, we had the school shootings in May. The last was famous Banjska. Banjska was the momentum after which Vucic found himself in this serious trouble. And I think that he called elections trying to overcome that crisis. But why he all with this so huge manipulation with elections, it's up to him to find the answer and the way out. As I say, my hypothesis is that some facts which I know and analysis shown that he's governing, and the way how he's governing the Serbia is not basically accepted by a huge part, maybe over 50% of citizens of Serbia. For that, he called so many people from around. And After that is not in the, how to say, on the line in which expecting Brussels and Washington to be. What does means? Vucic still, according to the votes, who wins in the elections, could not provide the qualified majority for accepting the really important laws for so-called European integration or reform. And that's the problem. In the end, I suppose that Vucic will try to escape the confrontation by police and army against the people, that he is not Milosevic, and that he will go on the one period of, how to say, negotiation and manipulation. In the end, I think we will have the new elections in Belgrade and possibly the new elections in Serbia.
Dusan Janjic, great to have your insight after the elections in Serbia. Thank you again for your time for us here on Across the Balkans. Just a couple of days before the elections took place, activist Aida Corovic was fined by a state court for disturbing public order and peace by throwing eggs at the wall of a building in central Belgrade. Her verdict nowhere mentions that she threw eggs at the mural of convicted war criminal Ratko Mladic as part of her protest. Back in 2021, the mural sparked outrage in Serbia and across the region, with some even protesting in front of it, many of whom were detained by police, including Aida. Aida Corovic is our guest today, but first, here is her story.
What is the price for throwing eggs at a mural of a convicted war criminal? Nearly $900. That was the penalty imposed on activist Aida Corovic by a Serbian misdemeanor appeals court. Aida egged the mural of Ratko Mladic in Belgrade in 2021 during a protest commemorating International Day Against Fascism and Anti-Semitism. It's been suggested the painting was done by right-wing activists. Aida's arrest led to protests by opposition and leftist activists. The court said she disrupted public order and peace by swearing at police officers and shooting at the wall without explicitly referencing the mural. There have been several attempts to efface Mladic's mural, which has now been covered with a painting of a large red heart. But this mural is one of dozens across the city, which also narrate different interpretations of Serbia's modern history. Opponents have tried to deface other drawings they associate with Serb nationalism, such as this one of Daria Dugina, the daughter of ultranationalist philosopher Aleksandar Dugin. She was killed in a car bombing outside Moscow. A picture might speak 1,000 words, but the act of repainting and erasing murals suggests that Serbian society is grappling with the challenge of establishing a shared narrative for its recent history in the region. And it may just take more than a few broad strokes if those divisions are ever going to be addressed.
Aida Corovic, thank you for being our guest here on Across the Balkans. Now, what now? Will you pay the fine that the court ordered?
Pa ja sam rekla i posle prvog saslušanja da neću kaznu platiti, a ja sam osoba koja drži do svoje date reči, pogotovo javno izrečene reči, i neću da platim kaznu. Sve što treba da prosto podnesem konsekvence koje su zbog dela koje sam uradila, ja ću to potpuno bez mirne savesti da uradim. Dakle, očekujem izvršenje zatvorske kazne u narednom periodu.
What does conviction say and what is exactly that you are fined for, Aida?
Pa kažnjena sam zato što sam gađala zid. Oni nigde tamo ne navode da sam gađala zid na kome je bio prikaz osuđenom ratnom zločincu Ratku Mladiću. Onda se takođe napominje da sam psovala i vređala policajce. Jeste, ja sam psovala i vređala, ali kao i što se prosto na snimcima od tog dana i tog događaja može da vidi, to su bili mladići u civilno odeveni sa nekim kapuljačama na glavi, u nekakvim maskirnim jaknama. Oni su delovali sve samo ne kao policija, delovali su dakle kao huligani, kao desničari. Ja sam imala zaista osjećaj i mislila sam da se prema meni da se obrušili huligani, a ne policajci. Policija koja je bila u uniformama stajala je sa strane i niko od tih mladića ni jednog trenutka nije pokazao svoju iskaznicu. Tako da ja nisam psovala policajce, ne bih se naravno ni otimala da sam znala da su policajci u pitanju, već sam mislila da se radi o huliganima. Dakle, ja ću ili treba da platim kaznu od nekih skoro 1000 eura, što sam gađala zid na kome je bio prikaz o osuđenom ratnom zločincu i zato što sam psovala policajce koji se nijednog trenutka nisu predstavili i nisu legitimisali.
What did you want to achieve with throwing eggs on the mural of Ratko Mladic, the war criminal?
Pa mislim, to je bio stvarno jedan čin očajnički. Jelena i ja smo došle, Jelena Jačimović, moja prijateljica i čuvena beogradska dizajnerka, došli smo tog dana jer je trebalo da bude održan jedan protestni skup koji je inicijativa Mladi za ljudska prava trebalo da organizuje. Mi smo dobile naravno informaciju da je taj skup otkazan dan pre, ali nekako je ostalo da visi u vazduhu da ćemo od tog dana, da će se okupiti aktivistkinje iz Beograda i da ćemo jednim mirnim stajanjem pokazati naš protest protiv slavljenja ratnih zločina i rehabilitacije ratnih zločinaca u Srbiji. Nažalost, osim nas dve, tog dana nije bilo nikoga od aktivista i ja sam jednostavno u očajanju, pošto je prosto nekako već su se snimatelji, novinari okolo pakovali i nekako je visilo u vazduhu, to je visilo da se svi slažemo sa tim da je Ratko Mladić srpski heroj. I to je bio, kažem, jedan spontani, potpuno spontana ideja. Ja sam se osvrnula, videla sam da je tu radnja u blizini, rekla sam Jeleni da je možda okej da uđem i da kupim jaja, da bacim, ona se složila i eto, to se, prosto kažem, je to zaista bio čin očajanja, naravno važan je i taj datum, kontekst je bitan, kao i to i činjenica da smo pre nego što smo krenule na to mesto, da smo čule da je preminula Hajra Ćatić, naša prijateljica, jedna od srebreničkih majki koja nikada nije doživela da sahrani kosti svog sina. I sve je to nekako rezultiralo jednim emotivnim gestom, da tako kažem.
Ratko Mladic's verdict for genocide and other war crimes is a verdict by the International Criminal Court and it's internationally recognized. Did you ask for help from any international NGOs, human rights organizations, and what was their response to you?
Hvala na ovom pitanju. Ove 2 godine ponašanje svih međunarodnih institucija, od delegacije Evropske unije, posebno OSCE-a, do svih ambasada je u najmanju ruku bilo sramno. Niko se od njih, ali zaista ponavljam slovima i brojevima, nikome niti je pozvao, niti je na bilo koji način reagovao, jer ovde zapravo nismo bitne Jelena i ja, već je upravo to što ste rekli. Bitan je slučaj Ratka Mladića koji je osuđen na međunarodnom sudu, osuđen za najveći, najtragičniji ratni zločin genocida, prvi nakon Drugog svjetskog rata. I sramno je da međunarodne organizacije koje praktično su i pritiskale Srbiju i insistirale na izručenju Mladića i na kažnjavanju, odnosno procesuiranju, pravednom procesuiranju, nisu reagovale ni jednog trenutka i sram je definitivno i na njihovoj strani. Tako da ih ja potpuno mirne duše mogu nazvati saučesnicima u svemu ovome i nadam se da ću ovih dana jedno pismo uputiti sigurno njima jedno pismo gdje ću ih nazvati saučesnicima u rehabilitaciji Ratka Mladića. Bolje bi bilo da prosto oslobode, da ga rehabilituju, nego da ovako na lažne načine, na dvostrukim aršinima jedna priča bude u međunarodnoj zajednici, u zapadnim zemljama, a druga da bude ovdje.
Aida, thank you again for being our guest here on Across the Balkans. Now, we wanted to end this episode on a lighter note, quite literally. We leave you with an amazing visuals from Sarajevo's Festival of Lights. The organizers say they wanted to illuminate the city's long winter nights. If you're close by, it's definitely worth a visit. See you next time. Bye-bye for now.
I'm coming from China.
How do you feel tonight?
It's wonderful, and I never expected to see so beautiful light show in here. So many people here.
Describe in only one word tonight's exhibition.
Let me think. One word. Okay. Amazing.